Welcome to the 5-Minute Prime Podcast. Quick, actionable tips to master personal finance and real estate investing. In just 5 minutes a day, we'll help you build wealth and achieve financial freedom. Mention Section 8 in any investor forum and watch the thread split. Half the room says it's the most reliable cash flow they've ever booked. The other half says they'd never touch it. Both halves are right for different markets. The federal data tells you which side you're on. Hey, Prime investors, Martin Maxwell here. Welcome back to the 5-Minute Prime Podcast. The reason for the split is a federal pricing rule from 2018 that almost no investor reads, and a per ZIP data signal the platform publishes that almost nobody stacks. Today we open it up. Section 8, the voucher gap, and where the math actually pencils. The objections, and what the data actually says. If you've spent any time on BiggerPockets or NREIA, you've heard the same 5 objections to Section 8. 1. The inspection delays. 2. The PHA paperwork. 3. Perceived property damage. 4. Tenant quality stereotypes. 5. Payment standards run below market. 2 are real. 2 are mostly wrong. 1 depends entirely on the metro you're in. Let's go. The inspection friction is real. HUD's Housing Quality Standards Inspection, the HQS regime, runs through January 2027 before NSPIRE takes over. Inspection turnaround is typically 2 to 4 weeks. PHA paperwork for onboarding a unit is real. Figure 30 to 60 days from application to first HAP check. That's just the cost of doing business with a federal program. The damage and tenant quality myth, that one's contradicted by HUD's own research. No causal link between voucher tenants and elevated property damage. The reverse correlation people see that low-rent neighborhoods have more voucher placements is a function of where rents are cheap, not who voucher tenants are. And on tenancy, voucher holders stay 6.6 years on average, 4.8 years median, the longest of any HUD-assisted program. Episode 124, called Principal Paydown, the Silent Compounding Engine of Small Multifamily. The voucher tenant gives you 6+ years of that compounding before turnover. The payment standard objection, that's the one that's metro-dependent, and that's where the voucher gap lives. The voucher gap, Atlanta 30346. Here's the rule that almost nobody reads. In 2018, HUD changed how voucher payment standards get set in 65 mandatory metros. The old version, metro-wide fair market rent, paid the same ceiling across the entire metro. The new version, small area fair market rent, SAFMR, sets a separate ceiling for every zip code. 40th percentile of rent in that zip, not the metro. That structural change is the voucher gap. Walk Atlanta with me. ZIP 30346, Dunwoody, DeKalb County, North Suburb, family-friendly B-class, the FY 2026 SAFMR for a 2-bedroom in that zip, just published April 21st by HUD and effective May 21st. 2270, DeKalb County's ACS reported median gross rent, $1,591. The voucher gap on that zip is plus $679 per month, about 43% above the county rent baseline. That's the base case. Now layer in PHA discretion. The Public Housing Authority, the PHA, has authority to flex the payment standard up to 110% of SAFMR. In Dunwoody, the actual cap rises to $24.97. Now the gap is plus $906. 57% above county baseline rent on a single door that's nearly $11,000 a year of premium. $11,000 federal payment schedule direct to the landlord. They call it HAP, Housing Assistance Payment. That's not a marketing pitch, that's a HUD wire. Important caveat, the voucher gap is measured against the parent county's median rent, not the ZIP's local market. So a positive gap doesn't mean HUD overpays the local rent. It means HUD's voucher cap in that zip runs above the broader county rent baseline. Operationally, your cost basis tracks the county average. HUD will pay above it. The gap varies dramatically inside one metro. Atlanta's Midtown ZIP, Fulton County, gentrified A-class, pushes the SAFMR over $1,000 a month above its county baseline. Bankhead, West Atlanta, runs lower. The gap is which zip, not which metro. The platform publishes it for every zip HUD covers, reiprime.com/market/methodology/CF1 section 8 gap. And here's the editorial twist. 3 weeks ago, episode 130 put Atlanta on the YoY-negative list, down 3.8% on home prices. Headlines read it as a softening market. At ZIP Grain, the same metro is carrying top decile Voucher Gap windows. HPI bifurcation and the Voucher Gap are different signals. They don't move together. Where it breaks down. The Voucher Gap doesn't run positive everywhere, and the pattern of where it falls apart is more specific than coastal versus inland. Where it works best, high-rent counties, where suburban B-class zips catch the same SAFMR tier as A-class neighbors, but the county rent baseline is dragged up by gentrified zips. Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, Chicago, Miami. Suburban tiers all show this pattern. The gap clears 30 to 40% regularly. The platform's data has it. Where it breaks down, zip codes in low-density California counties where local rent has spiked far above the SAFMR cap, places like the rural East LA County exurbs and parts of San Diego County backcountry. SAFMR sits at $1,500. ACS County rent runs above $2,000. Gap goes deep negative. Same in dense Manhattan, A-class Brooklyn, A-class Boston. The cap underprices the market. The other pattern, less obvious, zips near the boundaries between mandatory SAFMR metros and metro-wide FMR fallback areas. The fallback zips use a single metro-wide cap that may run above or below depending on the county rent skew. Worth checking the platform's source field when it reads HMFA_fallback instead of SAFMR. You're in a different pricing regime. So the answer to should I do Section 8 isn't yes or no, it's which zip. Pull the gap. The data is on the page. A few things the Voucher Gap doesn't pay for. The HQS inspection, current through January 2027 before NSPIRE replaces it. The 2 to 4 week onboarding lag. The PHA paperwork. Source of income protection laws that vary state to state. 24 states plus DC ban discrimination against voucher holders. But Missouri preempted those protections in July of last year. The legal terrain is moving state by state. None of that's the platform's job. That's your due diligence. But the gap is real and the platform publishes it. One last piece of timing. The HCV program is funded for FY26, but contracting, both House and Senate FY26 bills cut hundreds of thousands of vouchers, and emergency housing vouchers run out this year. The math works now. Watch the funding cycle. Here's your challenge today. Pull up reiprime.com/markets/methodology/CF-1 section-8-gap. Find your target metro. Identify the 3 ZIPs with the highest positive voucher gap. Cross-reference those zips with active listings in your buy box price range. The deals that come back are the ones nobody else in your bid stack is properly underwriting. If you're in a coastal metro and the gap runs negative, Section 8 isn't your strategy. Read your other tells from EP 130. The cap rate proxy and rent to income are telling you a different story. If you're in a SAFMR metro with B-class properties in your buy box price range, the gap is yield you've been leaving on the table. Most of what you've heard about Section 8 isn't true. Some of it is. The math isn't subjective. Next week, episode 132. Builders just blinked. NAHB confidence dropped to 34, and lenders' incentives hit 14.5% of sale price. What that means for Q3 deal flow on the buy side. Stay with me. I'm Martin Maxwell. This was the 5 Minute Prime Podcast. Read the gap, not the rumor. See you Monday.